All right. Thank you for your time. You are excused. Call your next witness.
So that's it, right?
That's it.
Okay, they're gonna stop all the threats, right? Because I'm gonna lose my job when they came to my job, threatening to lock me up.
What I'm not appreciating is Mr. Williams has a right to then confront and cross-examine Mr. Shannon Jackson because this is confrontation clause. Your Honor, in the interest of time, I made this objection before. The state is putting up people who respond to a scene, and I just don't see the connection with that.
And we are back, and we are back. Thank you all for watching. Go ahead and hit that like button, y'all. We have a very good video here that is going to tie up some loose ends from the first video from today. First things first, shout out to Thugger Daily. He said on his X page today that there were at least 19 witnesses called. Can y'all believe it? And once you go through all of those witnesses and their testimony, as a watcher like me, and probably even Brian Steele, who's an attorney, you're like, what did all this even mean? Like, how does this even help the state's case? There was very little cross-examination today. Apparently the defense is like, hey, y'all can have it. Y'all can have all of that because none of this really matters. Now, to give you a quick rundown, on the first video, Max Sharp brings up a letter that mysteriously was sent to him last night by the prosecution. He is challenging this letter because the prosecution wants to use it against Shannon Stillwell. So in this video, you're going to see how that theme continues to develop. If you want to see the first part of that, check out the video that I'm going to link in the description. That's the first video from today. You're also going to see Brian Steele object to the state's way of bringing this case, where they're just kind of bringing a bunch of loose ends. They're not tying it together. They're not really painting a picture or giving you a narrative. They're just kind of giving you a bunch of different people saying a bunch of different things. And you're going to see how Judge Whitaker responds to that. And you're also going to see YFN Lucci's mom. Well, you're not going to see her because she was able to testify without her face being shown. So you will hear her, but you won't see her. And finally, you're going to hear this man who you saw here in the first part, the coming up, where you can see they're playing with people's lives, y'all. You can see they're playing with people's lives. This guy, he's on the stand for just a few minutes, but as you are going to see, they threatened him and he almost lost his livelihood for just this small bit of testimony that they wanted him to give. So again, thank you all for watching. It's going to be an excellent video. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and without further ado, let's get into it.
Your Honor, there were portions of the Tierra Jones case served in discovery. The pictures were served on May 22nd, 2023. The recordings were served in Discovery 12. I'm trying to find the exact date of when. And so the pictures were served in May 22nd, 2023. And there were some initial reports served on that same date, not the lead detective's report, but like
Okay, so
all reports.
Great. I was actually asking about the letters.
So the letters,
things that were brought up this morning.
So it does not appear that either letter was served.
All right, then y'all don't intend to use those, right?
We don't have to use them.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to sort everything out before we have a jury in here. I'm trying to understand. My client gave a statement as a victim.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the state, I understand the state's not intending to use the letters. Is the state intending to use my client's statements at all?
No, I think Mr. Sharp asked me that yesterday, and I advised that we will not be using, we don't intend to play his statement. We do intend to ask the detective whether or not Mr. Stillwell made a statement, how many statements he made, 2 at the hospital, 1 3 days later, one about a month and a half later. In the second interview, he gave more details about the incident in which he was a victim. And my intentions so I can complete the story and make sure that the jury understands that he subsequently recanted that statement. But that is what's in that letter that I provided to Mr. Shard last night. That second letter, he recants everything he told the
The
police.
second letter that Mr. Shard has never until last night gotten notice of.
Correct. And so we cannot put that in, but I would thought that Mr. Shard would want the jury to know that his client took that back or took his statement back. But if he doesn't, we have no issue not talking about the second letter.
So my understanding of the rules of evidence, first of all, I agree and I appreciate that the letter's not coming in because it was not provided in discovery. But my understanding of the rules of evidence, I don't know why. These are no ways admissions. These are statements my client made about, I'm going to say a wholly unrelated incident. I know it's part of this story, but he was a victim in a case. So from my perspective, this is all hearsay. And Your Honor, just to give you a little bit, there's parts in this statement where my client is saying, I didn't see anything. I don't know who did this.
Right.
The investigators are sitting in the room saying, well, give us 3 names. Give us 3 names. And he's like, I didn't see it. Give us 3 names. So, I mean, that's the type of police work that, quite honestly, leads to, and the 3 names that were eventually given weren't the 3. I think one of the 3 was the same people charged. 2 of the 3, I don't believe, were ever charged. So it's like, you know, they were just like, give us 3 names. And then they had him look at photo lineups, and he didn't even, and when he was looking at the photo lineups, he didn't even say, oh, this is the person that did it. He's just like, yo, that's Shelkel, that's so-and-so. So I don't even think it was a recantation, but I don't want any of my client's statements, the contents of which, and I understand the state has told me they don't plan on playing it, but I don't want them to ask about the contents of it.
So, to be clear, Your Honor, because I think some things are getting conflated. In the first interview that Mr. Stillwell gave at the hospital, he said he didn't see anything. Second interview, he was asked to give names. He did not give any names. He didn't say anything. Again, he gave no names in the second interview. It wasn't until November 2nd when Mr. Stillwell asked on his own to speak to the investigators. He told the investigators everything that happened, and then he provided names at that juncture. There was no pressure of just give me 3 names. None of that occurred in the third interview. The state believes that that is still a party opponent statement, that he is still a party opponent in this case. This is a statement that he made to law enforcement regarding an incident that occurred to him as a victim. So, Your Honor, we still believe under the rules of evidence, it would come in as a party opponent statement. That is what we are operating under. It doesn't have to be inconsistent. It is his statement that he has previously given to law enforcement about something which he was a victim. So that is the evidentiary rule that we intend to introduce this statement under. And again, asking questions about the statement, not playing the statement.
And then do you intend to do something about him allegedly later having said what I told you in November, I no longer stand by that now, or whatever he might have said?
The state intended to ask not this detective, because this detective was unaware of the recanting. However,
I don't know what you mean by this detective.
the detective, Investigator Griffin, who was the lead detective on the homicide, he was unaware of it. However, Investigator Dennis was aware that his client, that Mr. Stillwell recanted. And so it was my intention to ask about whether or not Mr. Stillwell took that statement back subsequently. I didn't intend to ask that question.
Okay, and you're saying that this is all, I guess, a statement or an admission by a party opponent because you're offering it against Mr. Stillwell? And how is it against Mr. Stillwell?
Your Honor, when Mr. Stillwell was shot at, this was all a part of this gang war that we have been discussing this gang war that we have been discussing.
Okay, I mean, you have any evidence of that?
The individuals who were charged are members of the opposition gang.
And when did it occur?
This occurred on the early morning hours of September 26, 2015.
Has anybody been convicted?
Yes.
Okay, so members of an opposing gang were convicted of this shooting?
Yes, one individual, I believe, pled earlier this year.
Okay, and did Mr. Stillwell, when he gave the November statement, identify any of those people?
He did.
How many?
He identified 3, and I need to confirm. I know one person, Mr. Hardy, I believe is the one who took the plea earlier this year or last year.
And are those 3 people the people that ended up charged?
I know Mr. Hardy was one. I need to see if I know Mr. Hardy, Mr. Watts, and there's a third person. Mr. Watts, after further investigation, the case was dismissed against him. And then the second individual, I just need to confirm whether or not he was ultimately charged and the case was resolved. But out of the 3 people he identified, Mr. Hardy has taken a plea. The second individual, I think, is Mr. Ward. I have to confirm whether or not he took a plea. And then Mr. Watts was not. He later, after Mr. Sprinkle did further investigation, Mr. Watts was not charged with ultimately was not charged with the homicide.
So
Your
when
Honor,
he recanted,
So
what did he say?
I'm sorry.
When he recanted, what did he say?
Let me pull up the letter. He said he was pressured and that everyone that he said did it didn't do it. He didn't know who did it. And the letter came after members of the opposition gang, I guess, received a discovery package. And in the lead detective's report, the lead detective said that Mr. Stillwell made identifications. And so they posted it all over social media. And so it was after that posting that Mr. Stillwell recanted. And also my understanding is there may have been some altercations while Mr. Stillwell was in the Fulton County Jail that also led to Mr. Stillwell recanting that
Okay,
statement.
and 2 of the 3 people about whom he recanted ended up with their cases either dismissed or not pursued?
One definitely was not pursued. I am trying to confirm the second individual.
Just to give you a little context, Your Honor, this murder of Tiara Jones happened at about 11:45 p.m. on a dark road, and a car sped up behind the car, and started shooting. I don't know. I mean, this case would have been a defense attorney's dream to defend the Tiara Jones sad case, but because there would be no indication that Mr. Still would have seen anything. It was after the police were saying, "Give us 3 names, give us 3 names, give us 3 names." Then he gives 3 names, and
Well,
I think
except a whole month went by.
I understand, and then I think one or maybe 2 of them were charged, but I think it was only one of them. I think it was only Bobby Hardy. I believe it was only Bobby Hardy that was charged. So, I don't see the relevance. Ultimately, I mean, I have a lot of arguments, but ultimately, I don't see the relevance of any of this. My client being in the car, I see that as relevant, but I don't see the relevance of my client's statements to the police regarding this matter.
It's relevant because he identified members of the opposition gang who did the crime. And so that is why it is
I don't know
relevant.
if you can say the who did the crime part, since even y'all seem to have decided that some of them didn't in fact do the crime.
He ID'd 3 members. So what's
He
relevant?
ID'd 3 members of an opposite gang, and then he later said, no, I take that back.
Right, and he did that after the opposite gang posted on social media. So all of that, when we're talking about gang evidence and recanting and snitching, all of that is relevant for the jury when a young woman is murdered innocently as an innocent bystander, and there's more evidence than just a car pulling up on the side of a dark road. It starts at a gas station where Mr. Stillwell tells the police He sees some of these individuals at the gas station. There's surveillance video. So there's a number of other pieces to it. To truncate it, we were solely going to talk about Mr. Stillwell, what he told the police that he saw and what he observed, and the fact that the individuals who he identified were members of the opposite gang, that there were individuals arrested. There would be subsequent evidence that would come in that, and I don't know if that part is relevant of who actually pled or not, but the fact of the matter is these people, it's who he identified, and that was the opposition gang. You're right. And that is relevant in this grand scheme of talking about the back and forth that was happening between January and ultimately October, once most of these defendants that we've been discussing were arrested in 2015.
Well, I think we need to be careful about who when we say who Mr. Stillwell said did this as well. And I reviewed the transcripts last night. I've reviewed the videos several times. But my understanding of what happened during the third interview where identifications were made was that Mr. Stillwell spoke about seeing Mr. Hardy in the parking lot outside JJ's Chicken. He said he saw him there. Mm-hmm. And so they say, okay, we have some, and that makes sense to the detectives. Oh, Mr. Hardy, who they're calling him Smoke, I think, is at JJ's Chicken right before the car gets shot up. That makes sense to them. So they say, we have some we have some lineups we'd like to show you. And they read him the lineup admonition, and they show it to him, and he's like, that's Hardy. I think he calls him Smoke. And he identifies Shell Kel and Merle, I think is the other guy. Those other two individuals, to my recollection and from the transcript that I read, he never says they did anything.
These are the people that shot me. He just says,
He just says, I identified
this is this person, this is
Right.
this person. What do you say to that?
Context of him telling the story of what happened. So that's something that they can cross about.
Do I
but
need to look at the interview and the letters?
no, the state did not intend, Your Honor, the state intended to ask Investigator Griffin, did you meet with him twice? Did he give you any information those two times? Did he eventually meet with you again? Did he provide more information about it? Did he eventually tell you who he thought was involved? Did he make identifications? Who did he make identifications to? After that, did you
Okay,
learn?
but did he make identifications of, I know this person and this person, versus identifications of these are the three people that shot me? That's two different things.
The context of the interview is,
So I need to look at it then.
We're about to turn this into a whole nother trial within a
Right.
trial.
but we don't, Your Honor, literally the state was going to have Investigator Griffin on the stand ideally for about 20 minutes, if that. So it's not turning in it's a 25-minute interview, Your Honor. I believe Investigator Griffin won't come until tomorrow morning, so we can send the interview over to the court. You can review it. It's a 25-minute interview for the court to review. But that's not the state.
To the portion that you maintain is him saying these are the three people that did it, and then send me the letter that is the alleged recantation.
And
I can send you the recantation, but I
And
think
do
the
it
court.
quickly, because honestly, I don't want to spend the entirety of my evenings doing this case.
I don't think that the court can only look at the specific portion, because I think you need to see the entire video to understand how the identification came about. I don't think that the specific 5 minutes before or 5 minutes after will give the court that context that I think you will need when he does the identification, Your Honor. So that is the only reason why I'm suggesting that you watch the entirety of it so you can understand the context surrounding the identification.
Okay, send it to me now so that our next break I can start watching it,
I sure will.
along with the letter, both of them.
I will send you both.
And Your Honor, I know they said Investigator Griffin's not coming tomorrow. If we need to wait till tomorrow on this, there's one picture that was shared in the Dropbox, and just to remind the court,
Okay.
these were things that were never brought up to discuss the issues with previously.
This
This
is
Dropbox.
as to this same crime or
Yes.
incident?
Yes,
all right,
but we've
what-
never litigated
Somebody send me the picture.
Pictures as well, Your Honor.
it. And there's a picture of essentially a young lady, Miss Jones, and it's horrible, and she's
After she's been shot.
bleeding from the face. She's halfway through a windshield, and her body appears to be burned. She's unrecognizable.
Okay.
And that's
And it's
And the objection would be?
403, prejudicial. I know that my client is not accused of doing this to Ms.
Right.
Jones, but ultimately the state is holding him responsible.
But for him being in the car, this wouldn't have happened to her.
Your Honor, the state did not intend to publish that picture. The state didn't intend to introduce it because, unfortunately, that is what happened. So the state did not intend to publish it. The state did intend to introduce it, but I will send the court the picture so you can see all of the pictures that the state
Well,
intended to.
if it's introduced, then it would be going back with the jury.
Yes, the jurors will see
Well-
it at some later time, but I didn't intend to
Let me
publish
see
it.
the picture. Somebody send it to me now. Is there some other way to get in evidence that this woman was killed in the car crash that followed the shooting? That's what happened, right?
It's already in evidence, Your Honor.
That fact, right?
Yes, Detective Dennis testified to that.
I mean, I'm going to sustain that objection to that picture. It's unnecessarily
So do you want me to
gruesome.
send it or no?
No, don't worry about it.
Your Honor?
All right, so that takes care of the picture. Yes.
While you're, you know, what I'm not appreciating is Mr. Williams has a right to then confront and cross-examine Mr. Shannon Jackson because this is confrontation clause. It is the police. It's a victim, from what I understand, identifying people in a criminal case. That's testimonial.
And
So-
what's the state's response to that? I mean, I guess if you are only having it elicited that he made a statement where he identified, how far is it going to go?
The state's intentions, was Mr. Stillwell a victim in a crime? Did you speak to him? Was he able to tell you who he believed to be involved in the incident? Who were those individuals? What occurred?
And-
I was going to ask him, what did he tell you happened? They were in the car, it
All
flipped
right,
over.
and so then what do you say about the confrontation clause issue?
Your Honor,
That's clearly testimonial. And it's hearsay. And it might be an admission by a party opponent. But that would be only as to him, really.
and we could do a limited instruction as to him. I mean, he's the victim in the case, so we have to, it's not a crime, it's not a part of the conspiracy. He's the victim of a case. If it only has to be used against him to say that he was the victim, then we can have a limited instruction that
Well, but you're not just using it to show that he was the victim.
we are showing that it was a part of the gang war, but that he was the victim in this case. Earlier, a few weeks ago, we brought in the other shooting that involved Mr. Stillwell, where he was shot a few weeks prior to this at Glen Street.
And did any of his statements come in at that point?
No.
All right, well then, that's not really comparable.
Your Honor, if I could just have a moment to research that particular issue to see if he can come in some other way.
And just for completeness, I also include in the confrontation clause the, quote, recantation.
Yeah, I mean, that, which frankly is more than to just show he was a victim, because once you get into the, and then something got posted on social media, and then he went back and said something different, that further complicates things. By the way, it appears that Carter, Hardy, and Ward all pled to some charges in that case. Those were not the people that he named.
No.
Okay.
He named Hardy. I'm not sure about Ward because it was a nickname, but he named 3 people, and one of them was Shell Kell, who's Kelvin Watts.
Okay.
He named Hardy and Merrill, who was Ward. The only person he did not name was Carter, and he named Watts. And like I said, after further investigation, Watts I believe arrest warrants were taken out for Watts. That's what I need to confirm. But after after the DA's office did further investigation, we did not indict Watts. We indicted Mr. Dominique Carter, also known as Stewie.
And y'all are saying that the only one that he said he thought had anything to do with this was Hardy? Not you, the state, you, the defense, sorry.
I understand the statement. He is saying that he saw Hardy talking to his girlfriend in the parking lot of JJ's Chicken shortly before they left.
So he never says that he thinks anybody did this shooting. He just says, here are the circumstances leading up to it.
That's my understanding. And it would defy logic for him to have seen who the shooters were. It was a car sped up behind and started shooting in the windshield, and then his car, the car he was in.
Well, I mean, he could have said he was at the JJ's Chicken in a blue Buick, and then I saw a blue Buick drive up again, but I don't know if that's what happened or not.
He said the car was, he thought it was a newer model car because of the style of lights, is my recollection of what he said.
And does he tie a car he saw at the JJ's
I don't
Chicken
believe so.
with a?
I don't
No.
believe so.
Okay.
I think we have different understandings of the video, Your Honor. I just think once we do the research on the confrontation clause issue, then I believe we're sending over the interview to the court, or it's already been sent.
Okay.
All three were sent. It is just the third video. It's both audio and video recorded using Evidence Reviewer.
Okay. And then the letter also needs to get sent. And this is a letter that y'all never got until yesterday.
Letter I never received till yesterday, and
Okay, so it seems problematic, essentially the contents of the letter.
My team is double checking something for me. Supplemental Discovery 11. I'm confirming whether or not this was the entire case file. So if you can give me one moment, I'm trying to confirm this is the entire case file.
Okay. Okay, well, are we in 2 minutes ready for the jury? Got your next witness lined up? Mr. Matthews, on a scheduling matter. Actually, two scheduling matters. All right, thank you. Who's going to be handling this witness? Mr. Brown?
Yes.
All right. Oh, can you swear the witness? Thank you.
Yes. Rodney Sterky.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sterky. Where are you from?
Atlanta.
Okay. And where do you currently live?
In Clayton County.
And have you always lived there?
No.
Where did you live on January 13, 2015?
I was standing up on Old Hickory Road by then.
Do you recall residing at an address of 3424 Ruby Harper Boulevard in Atlanta?
Yes.
And how did you come to end up residing there?
A friend of mine,
Okay. Who's your friend?
Bush.
Does he have a first name?
I don't know his first name.
Is that Bush a male or a female?
It's a male.
Okay. And how do you know Mr. Bush?
My mechanic.
Okay. You said he's a mechanic?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And how long have you known him?
Years.
Years. Do you know him to be, in your knowledge, do you know him to be related to any defendants in this room?
No.
did you move to 3424 Ruby Harper Boulevard Southeast?
I can't recall the date.
Were you allowed to move in rent-free?
No.
Okay. How much was your rent?
Sustained.
Can you use a mic, please? Thanks.
All right. And how long did you reside at that address?
About 3 days.
Was it a, did you rent the whole house or did you have just a room?
Just a room.
Okay. And Mr. Sterky, what caused you to move?
I was moving either way I go. I was moving back to Jonesboro.
Okay. Do you recall that address of 3424 Ruby Harper Boulevard being shot up on January 13, 2015?
Yes.
Okay. Would you please tell the jury what you remember about that incident, if you will?
Only thing I know, my van got hit twice. That was it.
Okay. And do you know if the actual home or actually the structure of the home was hit from your recollection?
No.
Okay. Were you hit by any bullets or gunfire?
No.
Okay. Were you actually even present at the time that the incident occurred?
I wasn't there.
Where were you at?
I was at work.
Okay. And what was your shift during that time?
Relevance, objection.
Sustained.
What time did you learn that the house was shot up?
Around 1 or 2.
Okay. And when you returned to the house that at 3424 Ruby Harper Boulevard, what, if anything, did you see that morning?
That night morning,
Well, yes.
a police.
Okay. Did you see any like yellow tape or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Was it a lot or a few police?
Few.
Okay. Were you able to access the area where you were staying at that time?
No.
Okay. Why weren't you able to access it?
Hell, I don't know.
Okay. Were you stopped by anybody?
Yes, the police.
Okay. And at which time did you come to learn that it was your house that you were staying at during that stop? At what time did you come to learn that it was your home?
Around 1:30 in the morning.
Poor question. Let me ask a better question. When you arrived back at the home from work, were you able to freely go into the home?
No.
Okay. During which point did you learn at that time when you arrived at the house? I'll strike that question. I'll move on. Other than your van, was any other property that you own affected by the gunfire?
No.
Okay. And what type of vehicle did you own in terms of van?
It's a white van.
Okay. How long had you had it?
About 3 years.
Do you still have it?
No.
Were you able to move it that evening after you had learned that it was affected by the gunfire?
I moved it the next morning.
Okay. Did you? How long did you continue to reside at that home after that occurred? After the incident of the shooting incident occurred?
I left the following day.
Okay. My apologies. And when did you move? Did you move your van that same night, or did you move it the next day as well?
Yes, and answered. Objection.
Sustained.
All right. Was your van still drivable after the bullets had impacted it?
Objection.
Yes.
Asked and answered.
Sustained.
Your Honor, that question wasn't asked.
Move on, please.
And do you know any of the person? Do you know or have any idea who may have shot up your home on that day?
No.
And have you ever had anything like that happen at any place?
Objection.
At that place that you were staying? Excuse me. Before?
Sustained.
Don't answer that. And after you moved, did you have any further involvement with this particular matter or incident as it relates to the 3424 Ruby Harper Boulevard address
No.
shooting?
No
No further questions.
Any questions for this witness by the defense?
Thank you. No questions.
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you for your time. You are excused. Call your next witness.
So that's it, right?
That's it.
Okay, they're gonna stop all the threats, right? Because I'm gonna lost my job when they came to my job, threatening to lock me up.
Well, I am very sorry to hear that,
Yeah.
but you are free to go.
Thank you.
Your Honor, in the interest of time, I made this objection before. The state is putting up people who respond to a scene, and I just don't see the connection. Without somebody saying, and this person did it, there is some assumption that because Kenneth Copeland, I'm just using his name, lived at this location, all of a sudden that is somehow relevant to our case. And I think that without the people who were responsible or the people to come in and say, yes, I did this for the motivation of this, and then you find it responsible, I'm going to object. I mean, it's come in so much. I've argued before the predecessor judge who said no, and we'll take it up later, and I just don't see the connection. You kept out the, okay.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I am sure that the state would love if they could have somebody come in and say, I was responsible and here's why. They apparently don't have that, and it's inferential, it's circumstantial, but they're entitled to prove their case with circumstantial evidence if that's all they have. And so I feel you, but I'm going to overrule your objection.
Okay, can we just have it continuing again?
You may.
And like the last one, you know, and I think it was Mr. Adkins, you know, did you go to meetings at the police department? And do you talk about murders? And was there a specific murder that was important to you? Yes, 5 days earlier at the barbershop. I just don't think that's appropriate, and that's my objection.
Well, I understand.
May on that?
Yep.
Mr. Fagan said that he was specifically briefed about the McDaniel Street murder. The Instagram post, which we didn't get into hearsay, the witness gave that and said this is in retaliation for the murder of Donovan Thomas a few days earlier. So that evidence was very relevant for Mr. Fagan because it impacted why he notified the gang unit, and he gets this Instagram post that says, I'm going to chop down family trees, and is a threatening post of witnesses and evidence that we have put forth for the jury. So I didn't want to get into hearsay, but it wasn't just a random murder.
Sure.
It was the murder of Donovan Thomas.
Understood.
I understand that too, but they're not linking it up. So they're going to argue to the jury.
If they're not linking it up, that's a good thing for your client.
It may be good, but it shouldn't come in. And it shouldn't be argued.
All right. Well, my ruling stands. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Y'all ready with your next witness? Can we get the jury in? Yes. Okay. Let's get the jury in. We're just going to go with last name.
I'm sorry, just your last name. Reed, R-E-E-D.
And Ms. Reed, where are you from?
Douglasville.
Douglasville. Okay. And do you have children?
Yes.
How many do you have?
2.
And boy and a girl, boy and a girl, girl, boy?
2 boys.
And what are their names?
Rayshawn Bennett and Kelvin Bennett.
And Rayshawn Bennett, what type of work does he do?
Wait a minute.
Okay, you okay?
Yeah.
All right, God bless you.
Music.
Music. And does he have a stage name that he goes by?
YFN.
YF.
BC.
And is it YFN Lucci?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
All right. And how long has he been in the music industry?
So, when he was young, about 13, just not in it. Yeah, I guess since like 2015 or 16. I'm not for sure.
Okay. And how old is he now?
He 33.
All right. To your knowledge, is your son signed to a specific music label?
Yes.
What music label is that?
I think it's a game.
Right. And how long has he been signed to that music label?
I don't know. It's been a minute. I don't know.
Okay, and minute can mean different things.
I guess like 2017. I'm not for sure.
And do you know who brought him or introduced him to that record label?
Yes.
If she knows personally.
Yes. Was your response yes?
Yes.
Who was that person?
I just know him by Nut.
Okay, you know him by Nut. And is Nut still alive today?
I don't know. No, I don't know.
Now, do you know someone by the name of Kelvin Watts? Or somebody by the name of Kel or Shell Kel?
Yes.
Okay. How do you know, excuse me, let me ask you this. What name do you know him by?
Just Shell.
Just Shell. How do you know Shell?
I'm just being around my son when they were young, childhood friend.
Okay. And when you say being around your son, would that be Mr. Bennett? Would that be Mr. Rayshawn Bennett?
Yes.
All right. And you said when he was younger, did you ever see Shell as he was an older man?
Yes.
Okay. How often, and I'm talking about around 2015, would you see Shell?
Not too much.
And specifically, I'm going to talk around 2015, would Shell ever come and visit you at your home?
Maybe a couple times, but not always there.
And let me ask you this. In 2015, where were you living?
Oh, Hill Street.
And do you remember your address on Hill Street? What was your address?
1,700.
1,700 or 1,007?
1,007.
Okay. And how long did you live at that location at 1,007 Hill Street?
About 9 years.
And when you were living at 1,007 Hill Street, did anyone else live there with you?
Yes.
Who else lived there with you?
My son.
Is that Mr. Rayshawn?
Rayshawn and Kevin.
And did they live at that home that entire 9 years that you were living there?
Yes.
Now, 1,007 Hill Street, can you tell the jury any landmarks or what's near 1,007 Hill Street?
Let me see. Grant Park.
Okay. Is it near the old Turner Field?
Turner Field Stadium.
Now, can you describe to the jury at 1,007 Hill, is it a duplex? Is it a single family home, a townhome? Explain to the jury what type of home it is.
A duplex townhome.
And how many bedrooms did you have in your home?
3.
Briefly, can you tell the jury, describe the inside of your home? What was this downstairs? What was upstairs? You can just describe briefly for them the interior of your home.
When you enter the front door downstairs, you can look straight, go up the steps, straight up the steps, in the living room.
And were the bedrooms all upstairs?
Yes.
All right. And inside of the home, where was your bedroom?
Upstairs on the left-hand side.
Okay. And the front of your bedroom, did that face Hill Street?
Yes.
Now, you said that both of your sons lived at your home. In 2015, did anyone else live there besides your 2 sons?
My granddaughter, well, they would be over.
And your granddaughter back in 2015, how old was she?
She was 2. Yeah.
Anyone else besides your granddaughter?
Her mother would stay over sometime.
Anyone else?
His friends.
And you say his?
Like Juju. Well, y'all know him by, I don't know his real name. I just know him by his street name.
Okay. But when you say his friend, you're talking about Rayshawn's friends?
Yes.
All right. And one of those friends' names is Juju?
Yes.
All right. Now, did you have a significant other or a friend that would stay with you?
Not stay. Come over.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Okay.
Look at you.
I understand. All right, so how often would that friend come over?
Sometime.
Okay.
Every now and then.
Outside of the individual we just spoke of, anyone else that would stay with you from time to time at 1007 Hill Street?
No.
All right. I want to kind of direct your attention back into that 2015 time frame. Were you aware of any conflict that your son Rayshawn was having, if any?
No.
I'm going to direct you specifically to January 22nd, 2015, okay?
Yes.
Did the police have to respond to your home on the evening of January 22nd, 2015?
Yes.
Why did they have to come to your house?
Shooting.
And what do you remember about what happened right before the shooting?
Nothing.
Were you doing anything at home?
Probably downstairs cooking. I don't even know. I don't remember.
Do you remember there was anyone else home with you?
Yes.
Who else was home with you?
My grandbaby. Her mother. Let me see. I think Juju was there.
And let me ask you this. How many times back in 2015 was your home shot up?
Twice.
All right. And this time that you're speaking of, strike that. Were you injured at any one of those times that your home was shot up?
The second one.
Okay. When you're speaking about who was in the home right now, you said Juju, your granddaughter. Was this the time that you were shot or not the time that you were shot?
Yes, the second time when I was shot.
Okay. So let's talk about the time, not the time you were shot. Let's talk about the first time.
Yeah.
Okay. And let me ask you this. How many days were between the time you were shot and the time that you weren't shot? How many days had passed?
1.
Okay. And was the time that you were shot the second time or the first time?
The second.
Okay. Let's talk about the first time when you were not shot. Was there anyone home with you that first time?
Yes.
Okay. Was it the same people we just talked about?
Yes.
And you said you may have been downstairs when you heard the gunshots?
I think when I got shot.
No, not the time when you got shot. The first
I was
time.
upstairs. Me and my grandbaby just had went upstairs.
Okay. Tell the jury, what do you remember happening after you heard the gunshots?
Let's see what. Nothing. We just jumped up, and then next thing I know, the police was at the door.
Okay. Sitting here today, do you remember how many gunshots you heard?
A lot on.
When you heard the gunshots, at any point did you ever look out the window?
No.
To see anything? Mm-mm. Okay. Do you recall talking to the police when they arrived?
I can't recall.
Okay. All right. Do you remember if you told police that you may have saw something after hearing the gunshot?
No.
No. Okay. Once you heard the gunshots, do you recall if you called anyone?
No.
No, you didn't, or no, you don't remember?
No, I didn't call anyone.
At any point, do you remember anyone coming to your home that was not the police?
Shell.
Okay. Did anyone else besides Shell come to the house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you know who they were?
No, I don't know them.
You say you don't know them. What do you mean?
I know them by their faces.
Had they ever been to your home before?
Let me see. Yes, maybe one of them.
Okay. And do you know them by their given names?
Street name.
All right. Let me ask you, do you know a person by the name of Jamal Bynes?
No.
All right. And what about a Jermaine Hardiman? Do you remember if your son, Rayshawn, was home when the house was shot up the first time?
No, he wasn't.
Sitting here today, do you know if you called him after you heard the shots fired?
I can't remember, but I don't think I called him. I think he called me. I can't remember.
And whether or not you called him or he called you, did you tell him what occurred?
He just said, "You okay?" And I said, "Yes."
Now, the other individuals who came to the house with Shell, do you know their street names today?
No.
What, if any, damage was done to your home the first time?
A lot of holes in the wall.
And was there anyone injured during the first shooting?
No.
Prior to the first shooting, did anything like this ever happen at your home?
No.
Did you know who shot up your home? Did you ever learn who may have shot up your home?
No.
And to this day, do you know why your home was shot up?
No.
And I think I asked, do you know if anyone who was living in your home had any issues or conflicts that would cause anyone to shoot up your house?
No.
No, you don't know, or no one had any conflicts?
No.
And I'm just sorry, no one had conflicts?
No.
Okay. Now, the second shooting, you said that was about a day or so later?
Yes.
Do you remember being about 4 days later?
I know I left about 2 days and came back. It might have been 4 days. I don't remember.
Okay. After the first shooting, did I hear you say you left the house?
I left for like 2 days or maybe one night. I can't remember.
And when you returned, was that when the second shooting happened?
Yes.
The same day that you returned?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's talk about the second time that your home was shot up. Who was at home during that second time that your home was shot?
The same three.
I believe Juju, your friend who sometimes come over.
Yes, my friend.
Your friend. And then was your granddaughter's mother there?
Yes.
And on this occasion, where were you before hearing the gunshots or the gunfire?
Before hearing it, I was in the bed.
And is this your same bedroom that's in the front of?
The front of Hill Street.
Tell the jurors, what do you remember while you were in tell the jurors what you remember about that night.
I just heard a lot of gunshots.
In your room, was there anyone else in your room?
Yes.
Okay. Was that your friend?
Yes.
All right. And where was he at inside of the room?
In the bed.
Once you heard the gunshots, what, if anything, happened?
We noticed we were shot.
When you said we knew we were shot,
I say that's when I noticed. I seen blood.
Okay. Where did you see the blood?
On my bed.
At the time, did you know if it was your blood or his blood? Did you know?
I didn't know.
Once you saw the blood, did you try to get out of the bed?
No.
What about your friend? Did he try to get out the bed?
I think he did, because I think he went and grabbed my grandbaby. I can't remember.
Had he been hit?
Yes.
And your friend, what was his name?
Elster.
And is that last name Elston? Okay. Where were you hit?
In my right calf.
And do you know where Elston was hit?
I don't remember. I just know it was in his leg.
In his leg as well. I know you said you heard a lot of shots. Could you tell if it was one gun, multiple guns? Could you tell?
Several guns.
It sounded like several guns. And I'm going to ask you for the first time when you weren't hit, did it sound like it was one gun, multiple guns? Could you tell?
Same shots and going. Gunshots.
Did you have to go to the hospital?
Yes.
In addition to harming you, were there any other damage to your home the second time around?
Yes.
What was damaged the second time at your home?
Windows, wall, the bathroom mirror.
Of course, indulge just one moment. Ms. Reed, I'm going to show you what's been admitted as 3GG. Looking at 3GG, was that the inside of your home at 1007 Hill Street?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to go to the picture. Were these some of the markings, some of the defects you saw inside of your home?
Yes.
Looking at 13GG, is this your bed? Was this your bedroom?
Yes.
And was this the bed that you were in when you heard those gunshots?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to stand up for you. Can you see that picture?
Yes.
With the black curtain and the white curtain, is that the window that
Yes.
faces Hill Street?
Yes.
Right. And is that where the bullets came in through your bedroom?
Yes.
Showing you 15GG. Again, were those defects there before? Do you see what's on the ceiling?
Mm-hmm.
Was that there prior to hearing these gunshots?
Yes.
No, not the fan. But do you see the marking on the inside?
Talking about at up in the ceiling?
Yes.
Yes.
That was there before?
No.
Okay. Was that happened because of the bullets?
Yes.
Looking at 17GG, is this kind of where you were in the bed when you were hit by gunfire?
I think I was on the side by the one. I think I was on the opposite side.
You slept on the opposite side away from the window. All right. Looking at 18GG and 19. Okay. What part of your home is this?
Let's see. Let me think, because it's been a long time.
Okay.
My living room and I think my dining room.
All right. And again, do you see the holes that are towards the ceiling?
Yes.
Again, were those holes there prior to this incident occurring at your house?
Yes.
Yes, the holes were there, or no, they were not?
No, they wasn't there.
Okay. And finish with, you can go to the next one. All right. Was this your bathroom at your home?
Yes.
All right. And was this another damage that was done inside of your home?
Yes.
All right. Now, on both incidents, both the first time and the second time that your home was shot, did you speak with police?
I can't recall.
Okay. And did you ever, after both of these incidents, subsequently move out of that home? Did you move out of that home?
Yes.
Have you ever heard of Inglewood family?
No.
Okay. What about YFN?
Yes.
Okay. How, outside of your son being named YFN Lucci, how have you heard of YFN?
Outside of my son?
Outside of your son.
Because they've been weighing that brand for years.
And when you say they have, who are you talking
Him
about?
and his friends.
Okay. Now, with your son, are you familiar with the vehicles that he owns?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask you specifically, do you know if your son owns a blue Maybach?
Yes.
All right. And have you seen that blue Maybach before?
Yes.
Have you driven that blue Maybach before?
No, I don't know how to drive.
You don't know how to drive? All right. Permission to approach, Your Honor.
You may.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as 1TT. Tell me if you recognize what's in 1TT.
Yes.
How do you recognize what's in 1TT?
That's my son's car.
All right. And have you seen that specific picture before?
No.
Okay. But you know that's your son's car.
Yes.
And does that appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of your son's vehicle?
Yes.
Do you know if your son ever drove a G-Wagon?
Yes.
And what color was your son's G-Wagon?
Red, white, and black.
And that G-Wagon, does he still have possession of that G-Wagon?
No.
And do you know when he stopped having possession of that G-Wagon?
It got damaged.
Okay. And do you know how it got damaged?
No.
All right. Do you know how long ago it got damaged?
It's been a long time.
A long time. When you say a long time, we're in 2024. What do you define as a long? We are in 2024. Yes. How long do you define?
It was before that. Yeah. Let me see. I think it was before, like, probably 2019. I can't remember.
And the Maybach, does your son still own that car?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's admitted as 1DDD. Looking at what's been admitted as 1DDDI, is that the front of your home?
Yes.
All right. And is your home to the left where the light is at the top?
The left. Where the light on at the top of the steps.
Okay. And would that be the window to your front bedroom?
No, that's to the front hallway.
Okay. So looking at this picture, which is your bedroom window?
On the left-hand side.
To my far left?
No. The second one from where the light, but to the left.
Okay.
If you come facing this way, to the left.
To the left. And I'm going to show you what's already been admitted as 326Y. Do you see your son in this picture in 326Y?
Yes.
And what is he wearing?
A red jacket.
Okay. There's two people with red jackets.
Red jacket with the black shirt.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Defense counsel have questions for this witness?
No questions.
All right. Ms. Reed, thank you for your time, and you are excused. Call your next witness. So the issue with the statements by Mr. Stillwell when he was a victim, I've taken a look at the statements themselves. I'm a little confused about the third one from November because it seems like he was talking to one of the other detectives before he switched over to talk to this detective, but we don't have that part, at least in the transcript.
He was talking to Investigator Thorpe,
Okay.
but it doesn't involve
All right.
the Tiara Jones.
He wasn't incarcerated at that point, was he?
He was.
He was. Okay. All right.
Matter, he was incarcerated, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, I mean, y'all certainly would need to, do you have an answer yet on the confrontation clause issue? Because that seems to be the hangup.
Yes, Your Honor. I don't have an answer yet.
All right.
One of my colleagues was going to look into it, so I'm just confirming if he was.
Okay, well, if Griffin is our first witness for tomorrow, then we're going to need that answer before, 9 a.m.,
Yes, Your Honor.
right?
Yes.
In full fairness to all parties, and I'm hoping to put a smile on Miss Hilton's face, the Discovery 13 did have a substantial amount of information about the Tiara Jones case. So those photos, like the photos that Mr. Kokomo was kind enough to get at the last minute, those were from Discovery 13. So I have those, and they were in fact in Discovery. I still don't have, I've looked pretty carefully. That original letter is not in there to my eyes. So that's still outstanding. Ironically, the second letter in full candor is in there. Of course, there's no indication where that came from. I can speculate. I believe that maybe one of the defense attorneys for Bobby Hardy or the others came up with it. But, I mean, it's just a notarized, undated letter.
Are you questioning whether it's your client's?
Yes.
Okay.
And also, I'm questioning the date.
Okay.
Where
Well,
it came
all
from.
that also then seems problematic. And additionally, when y'all were reviewing our upcoming witnesses before and said, oh, we're going to have Griffin come back and it's going to be 15 minutes because all we want to do with that witness is establish that this incident occurred. And now it seems like you want a whole lot more than that.
And you're right. It is primarily that the incident occurred and these individuals were noted as the ones who did the incident. I mean, that was the furthest that the state intended to go with it. You're right. We still thought that would take about 15, 20 minutes.
Didn't really say that part before.
The thing that I'm just confused about is, and I've had an opportunity to review the case file on that. Investigator Griffin did a substantial amount of work on this case. He got surveillance video from the gas station where he identified people getting into certain cars that later followed the car that Tierra Jones was driving. I think the state could at least make a credible argument about, and they also have people that pled. So I don't know why they need to get into my client's statement, which the original statement, the original letter, which we don't have, and then a recantation to get, if they really want to get into who did this or who they think did this, I think there's other means other than getting involved in my client's out-of-court statements.
Well, I mean, they can choose whichever way they want to. It still
Right,
needs
but
to
if
be evidentially admissible, but
I'm just saying that there's, other than, it seems like there's problems with this way of doing it, and there might be a clearer way to do it that wouldn't implicate some of these problems.
okay. Well, I mean, I guess I'll wait and see what they have to say about the Confrontation Clause issue in the morning.
Yes, Your Honor, and we would have an answer by 8:45 or 8:30, whatever the court desires.
Okay.